Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a silent epidemic. I'm talking about one of the most common health conditions on the entire planet, affecting hundreds of millions of people, and the crazy part is, most of them have no idea they even have it.
So to really get why this matters so much, let's just start with the question. What if there was a hidden disease, quietly working its way through the bodies of countless people, with zero symptoms, until one day, serious, maybe even irreversible damage was done?
Well, that's not just some hypothetical scenario. It's the reality we're living in. An estimated 30%, that's nearly 1 in 3 adults worldwide, has this condition. It's silent, it's widespread, and for most of us, it is completely off the radar.
Okay, so what is this thing? It's called Metabolic Dysfunction-Associated Steatotic Liver Disease, or MASLD. Yeah, I know, it's a mouthful, but don't worry about the long name. All you really need to know is that it all starts with a simple, quiet buildup of extra fat in your liver.
But here's where things get serious. The real problem starts when that fatty liver gets inflamed and progresses to a stage called MASH. This is the version doctors really worry about, because this is where the liver gets angry, It gets swollen, and that's when the real damage begins.
Now check this out, because it reveals this really critical shift in what the danger is. In the early stages, when there's not much scarring on the liver, the biggest threat is actually heart-related. But as that liver scarring gets worse, the whole equation flips. The risk of dying from a liver-related issue just skyrockets. We're talking 11 times higher.
So how does a healthy liver even get to that high-risk stage? Well, it's not something that happens overnight. It's a journey, one that can take years, sometimes even decades, as it moves through these different phases of damage.
It basically happens in 4 key stages. First, you get that simple fat buildup. Then, that fat can trigger inflammation. That's MASH. Over time, that constant inflammation creates scar tissue, which is called fibrosis. And if you let that go on, the scarring can become so severe and widespread that it leads to cirrhosis, which is permanent, serious liver damage.
And here's the kicker. This whole process accelerates. As you can see, if your liver has just a little scarring, it might take, say, 30 years for things to get really bad. But once you reach a more advanced stage of scarring, that timeline shrinks fast, all the way down to just 6 years. The damage actually speeds up.
So if this is a silent disease, how in the world do we find the people who are at the highest risk before it's too late? Well, the answer is targeted screening.
We basically look for clues. And the biggest clues are these really common metabolic conditions. So if you have type 2 diabetes, if you're dealing with obesity, high blood pressure, or high cholesterol, you're in a high-risk group. These are the red flags for potential underlying liver issues.
Now, the good news here, and it's really good news, is that the first step to figuring out your risk isn't some complicated or invasive procedure. Nope, it's incredibly straightforward.
It's a simple calculation called the FIB-4 score. You can honestly just think of it as a smart calculator. It uses your age and a few numbers from a totally standard blood test to estimate your risk of liver scarring. It's a fantastic first step to separate people who are low risk from those who need a closer look.
And the pathway from there is really clear. If your FIB-4 score comes back low, great. You're considered low risk, and your doctor will just check it again in a few years. But if it's high or somewhere in the middle, that's the trigger for the next step, usually a quick, painless test called a FibroScan to get a really good look at your liver's health.
Okay, so what if you are found to be at risk? This is where the whole story pivots. It goes from being about a hidden problem to a message of empowerment, because this is absolutely a condition you can fight back against.
And your number one weapon in this fight? It's your lifestyle. I mean, for the vast majority of people, things like diet and exercise aren't just suggestions. They are the single most powerful and effective treatment there is.
And you don't have to just take my word for it. Look at these numbers. They are absolutely remarkable. Just a modest 5% weight loss can actually improve liver scarring in nearly half of patients. But if you can get over 10%, that number jumps to an incredible 81%. That's literally healing your liver with lifestyle changes.
Now, lifestyle is the cornerstone for sure, but it's not the only tool in the toolbox. There are other proven strategies too. High-dose vitamin E can help with inflammation. For some people, bariatric surgery can be a game changer, resolving MASH in over 80% of cases. And some of the newer medications, like the GLP-1 agonists, are showing fantastic promise.
All right, so we've covered a lot. Let's boil it all down. What do you do with all this information? What's your personal action plan?
It really comes down to 4 simple things. 1. Know your risk factors. 2. Ask your doctor about that simple FIB-4 score. 3. Always remember that lifestyle is medicine. Even small changes can have a massive impact. And 4, and this is the most important, don't ignore it. With a silent disease like this, acting early is everything.
So let's just end with this one final thought. Your liver is this incredible workhorse, it's quietly in the background, performing over 500 critical jobs for you every single day. So given how unbelievably important it is, isn't it time to check on yours?